Welcome to the channel. I'm named Maven, and this video is the first in a series of reviews I'll be doing on various games coming out soon, and I hope you'll be here with me through all of them. Like, subscribe button, and ring that little bell to get notified about my videos when they come out. But for now, just sit back, relax, and enjoy watching my review of Minecraft Dungeons. I had no clue that Mojang was releasing a Minecraft looter akin to the Diablo series, and I'm glad I didn't hype myself over it. Otherwise, I may have been disappointed because other than a nod to it in an Easter egg level in the combat, the game is just a simple version of that love series, although it does have its own merit. And I've gathered my thoughts on the game, and have made a decision on how I felt after all was said and done. While I had a good time playing, I did feel like the game's content was short. The game has a charm and polish that makes the first playthrough deceptively good, while subsequent ones did sometimes make me beg to question, why play more? Minecraft Dungeons is all about the gameplay loop, killing familiar mobs from Minecraft and even using familiar items as artifacts or abilities that can grant you things like a temporary boost of speed or even heal you. Being outside of the gameplay loop, the story is lacking in depth. It's in the passenger seat to the combat, perhaps due to it being unimportant or it just wasn't a priority, which overall did not take away from my experience, although its inclusion would have been great. The story has you following a short villager that has been wronged by not only the villagers, but its own people too. And it found a powerful cube of power that's using to destroy all the villagers, all the people that has wronged him. And you're there to stop him. Besides some very similar objectives for each level, there isn't much more story to it. There is a small intro to each level, but they don't seem important and just work to be an objective for the level, albeit a simple one, with very little, if any, deviation from what you're doing in any other level. Let's move to the gameplay since there is nothing else to talk about for the story without major spoilers for that small story, and with what little content there is in the game already, I don't want to take anything away from anybody. Gameplay is king, and I'd say that's what Minecraft Dungeons has going for it, although nothing else in the game feels as good or as polished as what you're going to be doing the most: killing mobs and collecting loot. The animations for characters feel correct, smooth, and it's enjoyable to see the small ragdoll physics they gave to them. Since swinging your weapon is a constant thing you are doing, the attack animations do get repetitive, but luckily for the first playthrough at least, you don't know the exact scope of the weapon, so it does feel like there's more variety to see. Talking about weapons, there seemed to be a lot to choose from when first starting, but after that first playthrough, it's revealed almost all of the weapon types were already shown to you, and the only thing differentiating them from each other was if they were unique or what type of enchantments you can get on them. The game's main customizability is with the weapons and armor, plus the effects your weapons and armor can get, like having your armor burn enemies around you or having your sword gain a life-stealing aspect to it. It's important to note that the different types of armor are as customizable as the weapons, and both can get up to 3 different enchantments that are dependent on each specific weapon or armor. Even though it's the same weapon, does not mean it'll have any of the enchantments that you may want or have already on your current weapon. There are some pretty cool things that you can actually do when combining some of these enchantments with others, like becoming the Flash and shooting arrows of straight death and destruction, destroying all in your path with only a few right clicks. There are a huge amount of weapons here, especially with the game being only $19.99 USD, but the issue with them is that there's no reason to get them, other than to get them. Besides ranged weapons, every weapon type only has around 2 to 4 unique variations, with about 50 unique weapons in total. For melee weapon types, there are axes, daggers, gauntlets, glaives, hammers, maces, pickaxes, scythes, sickles, spears, and swords. For ranged, you have bows and crossbows. And the main difference between any of these is the attack speed, attack power, and if it does an area attack like the glaive or doesn't like the gauntlets. For the bows and crossbows, you have either strong crossbows, strong bows, or faster, lighter bows and crossbows. The crossbows sometimes having the ability to shoot more than one arrow at a time. All weapons and armor have base stats relative to your level when you acquire them, as well as the difficulty when getting them. There is no way to enhance items, so you're always switching out your weapons, even if you found that weapon or armor you really like. Although it is possible to find something just overall better, or to take a gamble to see if you'll see that same item again. I was thinking that maybe after the first playthrough, I might have unlocked the ability to use emeralds to pay for an enhancement, but it seems as though the emeralds were strictly made for just buying weapons, armor, and artifacts, which in the first playthroughs I really didn't use, since any artifact or weapon I found in the levels themselves were always better artifacts. They grant you a variety of buffs, or even transforms your arrows you shoot to rockets, and can even heal you and your party. Each artifact level raises with the mission difficulty, just like your armor and weapons. So if I wanted to keep one, I would just wait until I found it. There are 21 artifacts, but sadly, in my opinion, there are only a select few worth using for me. More notably, the Totem of Regeneration and Soul Healer, as I had them equipped for almost my whole time playing the game, since other artifacts like the Windhorn was just not working for me. I haven't mentioned multiplayer as I played little of it, but the little I did play had no connection problems other than the occasional kick to the main menu, which was something that I actually experienced more often when I was playing by myself. The 14 levels in the game have varied environments and are honestly great looking. There's an attention to the Minecraft universe and style that really shines when playing through the game. The sound design and soundtrack only adds to the game, having enjoyable level music and picking up the pace when fighting. The biggest downside of the levels are the simple objectives and weak story. But like I said, the story can be forgiven. The objectives are not as forgiven. I liked what I played, but there were some things that brought the experience down from what I think could have made this a great game. At the end of my time with the game, I enjoyed what I played. Actually disappointed that there was nothing else worth doing past the 9 levels that they give you. Not counting the secret levels, of course, which bring the total amount of levels to the 14 I mentioned earlier. Playing with friends extends the fun and makes it funner, but you can say that about any game. The game can be worth the $19.99 asking price. The game has fluid and addictive gameplay and has a good amount of weapons, abilities, and armor that do help make Minecraft Dungeons a game worthy to buy. Although there are things that can be used to make a case to not get it. If you are expecting or wanting an engaging story, then you will be disappointed. If you are looking for customization or replayability similar to something like the loved Diablo series, then you will be disappointed. Minecraft Dungeons is good for what you pay, especially if you temper expectations. The game just lacks replayability and has a small amount of levels at the time of the review, not counting DLC that is coming soon apparently. But with that said, we are talking about the game now and not the game later. Replayability is just sorely lacking. If you've played all 9 main levels besides some weapons, armors, and artifacts being able to be found in the second and third playthrough, there is no reason to play the game past the first. The weapons I found in my time playing were nothing crazy enough for me to want to play through the other 2 times, or think playing through the other 2 times were worth it if it wasn't for this review. You are not paying a lot because other than polished gameplay and a deceptively good first playthrough, there's not much meat to the game, and that's what's keeping me from giving it a universal recommendation. Going into the game without knowing how deep it actually is can lead you to big disappointment and bring down what I'd say is a decent game, especially for the price. If the game was the price of a full AAA game, or even $39.99, I'd have a very tough time recommending a game that only has the gameplay loop as its saving grace. The fact that the game is only $19.99 and they already have a DLC coming out from day one makes me wonder if they just cut the game up and are going to be selling us it back piece by piece through DLC. I hope that isn't the case. With that said, I do think that what they released for $19.99 is a good package. That the lack of content and replayability is much more forgiven, plus the option to get it through Xbox Game Pass makes it a much better deal when looking at the catalog you get alongside it. Now, since we are going to get in my rating, I'm going to be telling you about the way I'll be rating games from here on. I'll be giving a rating of a number between 1 and 10, with 1 being a horrible game, bad price, horrible gameplay, story, and polish. Polish meaning the amount of bugs and glitches, maybe even quality of animation and graphics, if applicable. 5 is an average game. It's in the middle overall, whether it is a story, gameplay, polish, or a combination of any is dependent on each game. A 10 is not a perfect game. It is a game that I've not only thoroughly enjoyed, but it's for a great price, if not more than worth the price. And all aspects of the game I would compare to others and would group it with some of the best in its genre. A game with a lasting impression on myself is vital when I consider giving a game a 10 out of 10. And with that said, overall I'd have to say that Minecraft Dungeons is a 6 out of 10. It has good gameplay, and for the first playthrough it's fun to play, but replayability is low, as there is not much making me want to go back and play again. Its replayability is the biggest thing that is holding the game back from getting anything higher for me, while the addictive gameplay, amount of weapons, enchantments, some abilities, and good first playthrough are what really bring it up, and I could definitely see it getting a higher score if it had a good story and more levels. So that's how I feel about Minecraft Dungeons. If you agree, hit that subscribe button so you can be here for my next review. And if you disagree, hit that subscribe button so we can talk about why. Thank you so much for watching, and stay